So this is from an episode, December the 9th, 1975, the Johnny Carson show that features Carol Burnett. Let's watch it, and I'm going to talk about it.
Also, one of America's most cruel comedians. Forgot to mention. I read an article once in one of the movie fan magazines, and all people who are in the entertainment business, and we realize that part of it comes with a territory of fans coming to see you. And because you're visible on that screen all the time, they take you as an old friend. Very often I have people say hello on the street to me, and I don't realize it's just because they've seen me on television. I think it's somebody I should know.
Oh, sure.
And I have stopped and talked with people, and they say, "Hey, Johnny, how are you?" And I'll say, "Hey, it's wonderful to see you again." And I'm talking to an absolute complete stranger, but he doesn't tell me that.
Well,
I say, "Hey, help me with a name." You know, like we met at a party, and the guy says, "Ralph Rebelman." And I go, "I don't remember where we met." He says, "We never met. I didn't say we'd met. I just said..." And I'm sitting there holding a conversation, which perfectly
But
normal.
you have to say hello because you might know the person.
Right.
You know, there's that, well, see, we live in Beverly Hills, and I'm not knocking it because I always wanted to live there too, besides being Brenda Starr. And so half of it came true. But people do walk in the house sometimes.
You've had him come right up?
Well, ring the doorbell, you know, but one time we were painting the living room, and so the painters were there, and they had the door open to air out the fumes. I walked right in. My stepdaughter was on the telephone in the kitchen, and it was a family. And she said, "May I help you?" And I said, "Carol home?" "No." "Well, we're from Ohio." "Okay."
You always announce, and I did it, because I came out here when I was young and hitchhiked out from high school, and I did the same thing. There's something about announcing where you're from, like this is going to strike a responsive
now,
chord.
had they been from Omaha, I might have let them in. I
tried.
You know. But, I mean, most people, they're very nice,
Yes.
you know, and so we have them over for dinner and the whole thing.
Very nice people.
Yeah, real nice. Make them clean up after. Okay, have them cook, do the whole thing.
What do you do if you really get a pest? How do you handle it? Have you...
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. And this is an interesting phenomenon that I'd like to talk about. And I came across it years ago when I read a book. And I've got the book with me. I'll show it to you here. Fortunately, I kept the book, and I retained it. I've cleaned up a lot of books around my place here and don't have as many books as I used to. But I did keep this one with the intention of showing it to you. King of the Night, The Life of Johnny Carson. And on page 165 to 168, at the bottom of the page, Joanne had married Johnny when celebrity had begun to affect his everyday life. A few years later, before, two scholars Donald Horton and Richard Gort had written a prophetic essay saying with the new mass media, the most remote and illustrious men are met if they were in the circle of one's peers. They called this new phenomena parasocial interaction. So I came across that term years ago, and I have seen it demonstrated in my own family's life. There's a member of the family that became a real big fan of Glenn Beck. And constantly this individual in the family would always be talking about Glenn said this, Glenn said that. And recently we were in the house and there were some old encyclopedias. And the individual caution says, now don't get rid of those because Glenn said we're going to need them. The information's going to be lost. As if somehow these individuals that dominate the mass media are personal friends. And the communication theory that they refer to is this parasocial interaction. Parasocial relationship. In other words, it's somebody that's in stardom, somebody that's known widely in the music industry or on television or in movies. And somehow, because you've been watching that individual, you know that individual personally. You have a personal relationship. And so they call this para, meaning distant or around social relationships, okay? It's acting with a persona. Now remember, all these characters of so-called history are personas. They're just imaginary characters in a script. And the script is presented to you through mass media. And we readily accept them as real, R-E-A-L. But they're just characters. They're actors. And hence people fall into this power of the parasocial interaction. Somehow taking these individuals into their life as if they are personal friends, personal advisors, spiritual leaders, and then that character that's presented in the mass media becomes dominating in their life. Just like I told you, this individual in family life would go around saying, Glenn said. And the reference to Glenn was Glenn Beck, the nonsense idiot presented to people as ultimately a man of all answers with all conservative truth and suspicious of all those others around him or her. And incidentally, back to Carol. Carol's a man. Sorry to pop your bubble if you like Carol Burnett. But I have a video on it. The Secret of Carol Burnett or something like that. I forget the title of it. You can find it. Where Carol Burnett takes off her dress and her costume and reveals to everybody she's a man. So this is the kind of thing that people interact with. These characters are mediated to us through this whole concept of parasocial relationships. In other words, you buy into them and they become your friends. And you begin to quote them. You begin to believe they are very helpful, like the show Dr. Oz, O-Z, which is just another way of saying the Wizard of Oz. Okay? So parasocial interaction, parasocial relationships need to be avoided. And if I can just go on a little bit more with my rant, this is what happens with your Facebook. It's just one image interacting with another image. And maybe slightly even what I'm doing right now. You have a sort of a parasocial interaction with me in my videos. So there can be some benefits, I'm sure, and I hope my videos have been beneficial to you, in the sense that you know me through my videos, but you've never met me personally. You've never had coffee together. You've never had an actual relationship. I just found this interesting. And there's nothing extremely profound to present to you, except I came across this concept years ago, and I could see how applicable it was. And if you listen to the people around you, oftentimes they will quote others who are in the media, as if somehow they're very profound. Para meaning beside, alongside, or around, or near. Somehow these unreal actors, like the one that presents her stage name as Carol Burnett, somehow they become a part of a person's life because they watch enough of the Carol Burnett show that Carol becomes real to them. R-E-A-L. But in all honesty, that image is real. R-E-E-L. And that is what happens to people when they watch the news. They mistake the real, R-E-E-L, for R-E-A-L. Why? Because of parasocial interaction or parasocial relationships, as was defined, I think back in the mid-50s by those social psychologists. So once again, I'd like you to have a real relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. You don't need to ever have a parasocial relationship with Christ, because Christ can come into your life. Invite Him to come into your life and have that wonderful personal relationship with the living Lord, Jesus Christ. Thank you for watching this video and any of my videos. End of video.